in the comics, they recently actually named the Prime Joker. Like, apparently there is a Joker Prime now, and they named him.
It's like Chet or something like that.
It's his middle name is like Oswald. Is all I really remember.
Really?
And yeah, and so it's like
got an Oswald though.
It's Oswald Cobblepot. So,
Yeah.
but it's this guy's middle name is Oswald, and so I was just like, but yeah, Tara was like, wait, is he related? I was like, no, and then I was thinking, oh my god, that is going to confuse. That's going to confuse a lot of people.
Yeah, why rename him the same as somebody else?
But yeah, like Kyle and I were saying, like the new 52 animated movies, I'm not disliking the current slate of animated projects. Granted, I don't think they're quite as good. And that weird black line, like I understand on animation standpoint, I understand the aesthetics of it, but that black line makes everything kind of look like oh god, what's that comedy with the Bob's Burger guy's voice? The actor does
Archer.
Yeah, it reminds me of Archer. Like everything kind of looks like Archer, and I'm just like, okay, it's not necessarily bad animation. It's just it's a design choice. I'm not entirely sure that I'm wanting necessarily. And then at the same time, there was a lot of that new 52 era that I would have liked to have seen. I would have liked to have seen a lot more of the crazy rip off his face Joker. Like that Joker was freaking insane. But yeah, in the new comics, they're starting to deal with a little bit more of the Flashpoint stuff again. So maybe I don't know. Who knows with the current slate of Warner Discovery, like they'll probably film 15 new 52 movies and cancel them next week. So, yeah. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, I guess.
I am, yeah.
Another episode of the Fathergamer Podcast. Yes.
Welcome to the Fathergamer Podcast.
So
brought to you by mashed potatoes.
Well, at least not the last week it was the
gravy train. So you gotta have mashed potatoes.
Next week is peas, and then after that it's
corn,
meatloaf. We're gonna go for the full.
Fuck it. Are we just making a plate?
Yeah, the Luby's platter. But anyway, it's great to have you guys back with me. We're it's a lot to talk about this week. We've kind of had an overload of fandom in the last week and a half. It's been insane. Of just like, hey, guess what? Here's some more. Oh, you didn't think it was enough. Here's some more. Oh, guess what? We're gonna have a mini E3 almost. Here you go, and then just we'll throw some more at you. And so, I mean, I'm not necessarily unhappy, but it's just like, why do they always do this? It's like, not every freaking news cycle has to be the Black Friday of news cycles. Like, just you could space stuff out a little bit.
I'm trying to remember, was two of them in one day, or was it like back to back each day?
No, are you talking about the Sony and the Nintendo one were literally a few hours apart?
It was like, yeah, I was thinking it was. I couldn't remember if the Sony one was right after the Nintendo one, or if it was Ubisoft.
Well, Ubisoft we didn't even know was coming, at least that I know of, and then Nintendo's was scheduled at least a few days before, and then maybe a day before Sony's was like, yeah, I guess what, we're having a state of play. And I know Tokyo Game Show's coming up really soon. And that's why if you look at the gaming stuff that was announced, a lot of it was Japanese-based companies. So that makes sense. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, guess what? We just had D23. Hey, we just had,
Assassin's Creed-a-thon.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, we just had all
5
these
games.
I think they're all but
there's some things within it. Like a couple of them are going to be a part of the Assassin's Creed Infinity project that they were talking about, and then there is going to be their next like big standalone called Mirage.
We'll talk about all that in just a second. So I think the first thing right out of the gate, we're going to go into introductions. I think that's probably the first thing we should do.
Yeah.
So, hello, people listening. We've got with us today Kyle.
I don't know why I did it.
What the hell was that?
I'm telling you, I don't know why I did it.
Do we need to call 911? Hey, Kyle, blink if you need help. Are you having a stroke? Like,
blink, blink.
You can't see me blinking, but no.
I can hear it.
Okay. No. Honestly, I think what probably came of it, and it's not the fact that I was trying for Arnold Schwarzenegger, but the fact that I saw a TikTok recently where they placed the freaking paint a picture scene, and the woman is Arnold, and by the end of it, she takes off the dress, and it's in Arnold's voice. Look at my boobies, Jess. It gets me every time, man.
To be honest with you, it doesn't take much, Kyle.
That's true.
Look here.
Good.
Tiny hands.
Hey, no, I don't have tiny hands. I have big hands. Thank you very much.
I was talking about Mike.
I like my tiny hands.
Yeah, I know you do.
As I'm
with us is our tiny hands himself, Mr. Mike Silverhawks. No vowels, Petty. Yeah, like that is probably something. Your tiny hands and tiny ankles and tiny feet. You know what? We got to stop saying tiny. They're dainty.
Well, they are.
Dainty is fine, but they are. And you can't help it. It is what it is. Not all of us can have giant hands like me and
I got really large calves but tiny ankles.
You're kind of drawn like a 90s
it's a weird
Batman
cartoon character. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like all you're missing is the barrel chest.
That's true. It's like Batman because he has like tiny ankles.
He does. It always that's all.
Which version? Are you talking about the anime? Oh, you're talking about anime.
Yeah, all the Joker had to do was like hit him in the ankles, and he would have been down.
Look here, just because Batman from the '90s was Achilles, doesn't mean
my one weakness, my tiny ankles that don't support my giant frame. And then we got myself, Eric, the Fathergamer Gibbs. We are Fathergamer Podcast. This is episode.
We are. 90. I thought we were like Tootsie Roll Podcast or something.
No, that's next week.
Fuck up out of here.
Get with Tootsie Roll. You know what? Now I'm wondering if there is a Tootsie Roll podcast. Don't look it up. Don't look it up because I have a feeling you will not unsee what you'll probably look up.
Oh, I'm prepared now. Then
Tootsie Roll Rule 34.
So
I'm prepared now.
No, I know that probably exists. So this is episode 96.
96, yeah, I believe. Yes. We just had 95, yeah.
Yeah, 96.
That's how it works, I would think.
Yeah, we're getting really close to episode 100, which
and we
really need to plan something other than just, hey guys, let's record today.
And it's gonna wear a see-through crop top.
Oh wow! As long as we can all like imagine it.
It's gonna be
disgusting. It's gonna be in the
thumbnail. God, this episode is brought to you by Bleach. Please use it in your head.
Put it in your eyes.
Yes.
I got the fish.
The Fathergamer Podcast does not condone bleach in your eyes. So let's go ahead and start with the fun that was D23. The hey, guess what? We had more to show after Comic-Con. Okay. D23, in case listeners don't know, is a expo that Nintendo, Disney soon it will be Disney, Nintendo, Disney has occasionally, I forgot, like it's not yearly, but it's like whenever they decide. I don't remember if it's every other year or whatnot, but anyway, they have a big expo, and it's basically a hey, let's toot our own horn and let's talk about us for a while, because that's one thing Disney loves to do, is talk about themselves. Not
no.
I thought it was every year, but maybe
not. No. I am a huge fan of all things Disney. So much so, used to work there, in case listeners don't know. And so I still feel a vested interest in anything that I see. And so some of my opinions may be a little more heated than normal people when we talk today. So just FYI. So
I'm prepped.
A lot of things they talk about at the D23 convention is the properties they own. So of course they talked about the new Indiana Jones, which had a really cool, I don't know if you guys saw the interaction with I cannot remember the actor's name, but he played Short Round in the second, and he also he also was in Goonies, but he was recently in Everything Everywhere All at Once, which, in case you haven't seen that movie, it is fantastic. If you love dimension hopping craziness and Michelle Yeoh, because I mean, who doesn't love her?
Yeah, exactly.
She's great in it. She's so great in this movie. This was his first acting gig back in forever, and he's going to be in season 2 of Loki.
Nice.
And so he happened to be at the D23, so he got to meet up with Harrison Ford, and there was a bunch of pictures online, and it was kind of cool to see like the two together, even though one could argue it's the second worst Indiana Jones movie. At least to me it is. I don't know, but I don't know.
I liked all of them, so I don't care.
But you also like, I mean, come on, dude. I mean, you're also a big fan of Mario Brothers movies.
I was about to say, like,
I think we brought that up about every. That's my like, yeah, but
I also love Thor: Love and Thunder, where everybody else hates it. So
I liked
it.
I mean, I'm not talking about y'all. I'm just in general. A lot of people hated it.
Well, it's controversial.
When you say a lot of people, you mean loud people on the internet, and that's true. Like a lot. That seems like a lot of people, but that's not necessarily true. It's just a lot of loud people. That's the thing you have to remember. And anything with Rotten Tomato nowadays is so, like, you just can't even believe it whatsoever. It's just that it gets spammed so bad by internet trolls if they don't like, I don't know, the fact that the mermaid is black, which we'll talk about in a minute, or something, and it hasn't even come out. They'll fricking go on and spam the crap out of it and hate it. I mean, let's be honest. The Ghostbusters Answer the Call, the one with the entire female cast, was it a great Ghostbuster movie? No. What is it? Was it a terrible, absolute stinker of a film? I don't think so. Did it deserve the hatred it got? No, because most of what it got online was the hatred because people didn't get what they wanted, or they were innately sexist, or just not a great person. And, if you don't like something, you don't like something, that's fine. If you don't like something because of that, that's a big problem. But I guess that's one of the first things we'll talk about is they showed a small clip of Ariel from the Wish
Mermaid.
I Could Be, huh?
I was gonna say Little Mermaid.
From Little Mermaid, from the Wish I Could Be. I think I forgot the name of the song. Even
Part of Your World.
Part of Your World.
Part of Your World. Yeah.
Beautiful rendition. I thought it was a great rendition of the song. She made it her own, but kept it the same.
Mm-hmm.
I wish to God I could remember the name of the actress. But she is a woman.
Haley Berry.
She is a woman of color, and people.
Or Halle Berry.
That's a totally different actress, guys. The internet went crazy in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, a lot of the people that are the problem, it came out because it was just like, oh my God, the Little Mermaid is black. She can't be black. Oh my God. She's a freaking mermaid. She's a freaking mermaid, guys. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's a mermaid. It's not a biography of like something that really happened. It's not like they made freaking, like, I don't know, Abraham Lincoln Klingon, or something like it's the Little Mermaid. It doesn't really matter.
It's not going to matter. Yeah, exactly.
To us. But you know what it did matter to? If you go on TikTok, all those little girls, the little girls, that it was a representation of them, and they were bawling. And if you can watch those videos of little girls going, "Oh my God, she looks like me," and they're crying, if you can watch that and be like, I'm still angry, then you're just a really not cool person. Like, something is really wrong with you.
So,
innately.
Agreed.
Both Kyle and I were slightly wrong. The last name's Bailey.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I could have sworn. I could have kept swearing people were saying Bailey. That's what it is.
Yeah, I think it's Hallie still, but it's Bailey for the last name.
I've heard a couple of people say it wrong. Now it's just stuck in my head that it's like, it's not Halle Berry, but like Halle Bailey. Like,
exactly.
It's just
close.
It's a little close.
Exists. Yes.
Yeah, it's just a little close enough to be like, yeah. I was going to say, at this point, we can just say, fuck the world. And if we want to give them what they want, look, I'll just go just be like, all right, we're going to make a new Little Mermaid, and fucking Gary Busey's going to play Ariel, and people are just going to bitch and moan, and we're going to be good about it.
Oh God, I would actually pay to see Little Mermaid with Gary Busey. Actually, I would pay for Inside Out 2, which they announced, by the way. I would pay for Inside Out 2 to be the person they follow is Gary Busey, and you see all the characters inside his head, like, played by Gary Busey. That actually would be
funny.
I would absolutely pay for that movie. Like, Inside Gary Busey would be the most amazing movie ever. Well, by the way, we're making
a documentary.
I still think Ginger Dead Man that has Gary Busey in it. I still think to this day there's a scene where he robs a mom and pop cafe. I still, God, think to this day they just gave him a gun and said, "Hey, go rob a store." And they just
thought it was real.
Yeah, I swear to this day, like, he was just like, "I'm just gonna rob this place." Yeah, I'm just. Anyway, D23 though, one of the other big things that they showed, which I was really kind of nervous that we wouldn't get much, especially after Comic-Con, was a little bit more of the MCU Marvel talk.
Yep.
One of the things besides the shows, and we'll talk about those in a second, the shows and the movies, one of the things that they ended up showing was a add-on to Avengers Campus over in California, which, in case listeners don't know, in California, they have one of the land areas is Avengers Campus, and it has a couple rides, and it's Avengers themed. They've got a Doctor Strange. They've got a really cool Pym section that is a restaurant. So it actually looks like little hamburgers big hamburgers get shrunk down. The queue for it's really cute. Like it's got a lot of fun stuff. It's got a Spider-Man ride that actually has Tom Holland does the voice in the intro. So technically, everything in this area is connected to the MCU, which is really weird when you think about it. But these rides are actually MCU canon. And so they announced recently a new one with a character called King Thanos. And
That's what I was wondering about. Okay, keep going.
The art they show, King Thanos is pretty badass looking. Like, it's Thanos with like this almost like
crown.
Sauron.
Yeah, it's a Sauron crown.
Like crown, which is kind of nifty looking, and he's got a white beard, and then it shows all of these Marvel characters attacking him, and it's got the animated Peter Parker from the show that's coming out soon with Tom Holland doing the voice, I believe, and then all the what if stuff, tons of the characters. It's got like Miss Marvel. Yeah, Captain Carter. Like, pretty much every character from the MCU is on there. On top of it, it's got a few characters that haven't actually been shown really yet, which was kind of nifty. But the fact that this is a MCU major event that 99% of us will never get to see, especially with all of the Kyle and I have had this discussion, because Kyle and I've, other than me, Kyle's gone a couple times to Disney World.
Correct.
We love the parks. We absolutely love the parks. The parks are amazing, but the parks are becoming more and more unaffordable. And most people aren't going to be able to see this amazing story. And I'm thinking, this is kind of sad. This is, I don't know. I'm really bummed out the fact that there's a piece of the Marvel universe, as a person who loves to take part in all of the pieces of the Marvel universe. I doubt anytime in the next couple of years, if not longer, I'm ever going to see this thing unless I see it through YouTube videos.
Right.
And that's just, I don't know. It's making me really upset. And they've announced, one of the things is somebody who was an Imagineer through Disney. There's little things that I see, little nuances of changes that I'm noticing that were kind of upsetting. And this is a little bit of a park news. They're doing a big switch over to Splash Mountain. I'm sure Kyle can appreciate. It's a great ride. Like, it's probably one of the greatest rides there at the park. And they're swapping it over to more in line with current days, and I'm cool with that. Like, I understand the reasoning behind it because of the characters themselves aren't as problematic as the movie that they come from, and so they're swapping it over to be more fitting to current days. And one of the things that they're doing is theming it towards the Princess and the Frog. Okay. I can see, especially, Kyle, it's got the big riverboat at the end. It's got all that stuff. I could see it thematically fitting with the bayou, with that entire.
What are they right now?
Right now it's Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox. It's It comes from a movie called Song of the South. It's an animated
so it is from that.
part.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Dippity Doo Dah is the song that they sing. And so, like I said to you, it's kind of the best way I could describe it is the characters themselves aren't inherently racist.
Mm-hmm.
The story isn't inherently racist, at least not from my point of view. But I'm also not a black person, so I don't, I might be missing something, and I'm totally open to listen to that. But it's definitely racist adjacent is the best way I could describe it. And so it's just very problematic. It's been a problematic attraction for Disney for a very long time. So I can see this swapping over. But if they're going to do it, I want them to do it right. I want them to spend the money to make sure that this ride gets the love and attention that it needs, especially to prove that this isn't just okay, we're doing this to appease people. We're doing this because it needs to be done, and it needs to be done
forever.
It also needs to be done right.
Mm-hmm.
And so the original concept art was pretty amazing. Like, it had this huge, the outside especially, this huge bayou thing, and then there's a centerpiece at the very top, because the theme of the ride is that your character in the original gets thrown into the briar patch. The rabbit's like, oh, don't throw me in the briar patch. Don't throw me in the briar patch. And then they throw you in the briar patch, and that's the splash part of Splash Mountain. And then he's like, ha ha ha, I was brought up in a briar patch. I'm fine. And you get splashed, and it's really fun ride. Well, there is a focal point on the ride itself where there is a tree that at the very top of the ride. In the new concept art, they showed like a boat that was attached to like almost like it was shipwrecked in the tree, like the water had risen and then dropped in the tree, and they had all these lights that were in it. It looked really cool, and like at nighttime it would have been a really cool centerpiece while you're walking through the park. You would see this big boat just kind of up in a tree.
That's cool.
They took it off of the current map, and there's little things that I'm starting to see that are making me nervous. Basically saying, hey, we're taking money away from this attraction. We are doing less for this attraction, and that makes me, when it comes out, I think that's going to be highly problematic for the company, because if it looks like hey, we're just doing this to appease and not doing this because it's what needs to be done, it's going to be a big problem. And hopefully, I think my biggest worry is under the new management, I don't want things to appear Disney. I don't want it to look anything like the current state of Warner Discovery. That makes me nervous. That especially now that we're seeing how poorly a group can not understand its base, and the fact that right now in the parks there's a lot of issues with the nickel and dime charging already, and a bunch of other issues that are happening in within the parks. It's just I'm hoping we're not seeing an era that is less than what we've been seeing, because like Kyle, you've seen how amazing the parks have been. Like the Star Wars stuff, that new Star Wars area looks amazing. Like they plussed, that was a term, like plussing thing that we use all the time. They plussed the fuck out of everything, and it has been so good. And when you stop doing things to that degree, when you take your foot off the pedal even a little bit, and don't live up to that level, people are going to notice way more than they normally would have. And that's my biggest worry. And then the fact that, again, most people aren't going to be able to afford to see these stories within the MCU and even Star Wars, because Galaxy's Edge is canon within the current Star Wars universe. The Halcyon, the ship that you go travel in, the one that's sort of like a luxury yacht, or not yacht, but like a cruise ship,
cruiser,
is considered canon within the Star Wars universe now. And so all of it is canon, whether it be Marvel or Star Wars. So I want more people to, even like yourself, Mike, to be able to understand the joy that it is to go into a Disney park. Because right now...
Well, I've been to one. It was Thanksgiving years and years ago.
But I mean, in recent days, like...
Yeah, in recent days it would be amazing, yeah.
Yeah, I
think good old days.
Expensive.
Can I? That's the problem, and yes, it's always been expensive, but it's to the point now where, like, you have to pay to get in, and then you have to pay for the food, and then you have to pay if you want to ride specific rides at certain times. You used to have free fast pass. If you stay at one of the resorts, which is incredibly expensive, now like you have to pay
a night.
Well, no, it's cheaper than that, but now you have to pay for parking on top of it if you're staying there. There's like all these little things. They're actually percentage-wise down as far as the amount of people at the parks right now. There's less people at the parks. There's less people staying in resorts, but they're 30% over what they were sales-wise pre-pandemic right now.
Because of the extra stuff.
So, yes, that looks good right now to investors, but the long term, again, when people stop taking their families and they start going in 2025, when the new theme parks are open up in Florida, it's the third park, isn't it? I think for Universal, when the third park is open and they've got the Nintendo Land, which yes, they're going to have in California too, or the How to Train Your Dragon, or the other Harry Potter area, all that stuff, and it's cheaper. People are going to go there. Like, that's I don't know. It's a little bit of a rant, but D23 definitely brought that out. When you see some of the stuff that they're doing. But all that aside, we are getting a lot of new TV shows. We are getting a lot of movies. We're getting a
lot of Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm actually really, really excited for the Secret Wars TV series.
Secret Wars is going to be fantastic.
Secret Wars gave me that vibe.
Oh, it's a TV series. I didn't realize that. I thought it was a movie.
Yeah, it's a TV series, and it's giving me the Winter Soldier kind of intrigue vibe that we've been missing from the MCU as of late. Like, I'm enjoying. Like, we get a little bit of the knock. Like, you're talking about the Taika comedic stuff going on. Like, it's kind of hit or miss.
Love and Thunder,
yeah, and I God, those goats, I absolutely loved that movie.
The goats were great.
Like, and I love Taika. Taika is one of my favorite directors that exists right now. Like, pretty much anything he makes, I will watch.
Yeah.
I understand where maybe some people weren't on board with this movie, because it is a different movie. This and Thor Ragnarok are actually two different movies. Even they're not even.
Yeah.
They really are, and the fact that they keep kind of reinventing the Thor movie is, to me, kind of fascinating. if you sit down and try to watch all three movies, there's not a flow really with them. They're 4 different movies. Yep. And I mean, I guess 2 would be the closest to 1, but the rest of them, they all feel like totally different movies. And you know, I'm digging the humor, but to see a little bit of that old school like Winter Soldier kind of feel is I was definitely happy. Yeah, a little bit of drama. The because you know Thunderbolts is gonna be probably pretty funny. At least in parts, and they showed that Thunderbolts is pretty much Marvel's answer to Suicide Squad. Is the best way. Did you guys see the roster of Thunderbolts?
I didn't see the roster for the Thunderbolts. I heard of it.
It's okay. I'm gonna be really off on the names of the characters, but it's the bad guy from Ant-Man 2. The Ghost.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh, the Ghost.
It's
the female or another person?
Yeah, okay. The female. And then it's the new Black Widow.
Yeah, the sister.
The Winter Soldier. Oh God, from Stranger Things. The dad. The red.
Oh, yeah. the Red Sun or something like whatever.
No, that's DC.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about. The big like bear dude,
like Commander or Comrade or something like that.
Yeah, Commander Comrade.
Commander Comrade. I fucking love it.
But and then there's a few other characters, and I was just like, oh, hey, this is pretty cool. Like I was kind of hoping. Oh God, the bad guy from the Winter Soldier and
Red Guardian. That's his name.
Yeah, right. Red Guardian. The Winter Soldier.
No, the other Captain America was in there too. I saw that.
Oh yeah. The bad one. The U.S. agent.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, the agent. Yeah.
And he figured out that he was doing wrong, and then he kind of.
I was kind of hoping
back to them.
I was kind of hoping Baron Zemo would be in there because
Zemo's amazing.
As long as he gets to dance, that's all that matters.
Did I see She-Hulk in there too, or was I looking at a different picture altogether?
No. But they did announce Ironheart, which they announced before, but they showed the who's going to be in Ironheart. And if people don't know Ironheart, it's essentially a take on. It's basically a new Iron Man.
I was gonna say
it's the Iron Man initiative, but with people rather than robots. Yeah.
And then they showed the sequel to already essentially to Secret Wars, which is the Armor Wars. So kind of cool with that. That's but I mean it was a lot of hey, guess what? This stuff hasn't even started filming yet. So here's people and yeah, but you know what? If you think about it, like even last year we didn't really get much, and we're already like done with Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel. The series has already come out, and I mean they're pushing these things out pretty quick with really decent CGI to the point that some of the companies that are doing the CGI are breaking down and going to the internet and saying, hey, guess what? Disney is beating the crap out of me. Get them to stop. And I'm not laughing because it's not funny, but I've been at that end of it where it's like.
As the Imagineer, yeah.
Well, not as just the Imagineer. I'm talking just like I've been a deadline for other companies for getting product out, and it is a nightmare. Anytime you have to do crunch time, it is a nightmare. And these shows are done, but these poor people, they're definitely they're doing the CGI are getting grounded to the ground. But I have been in crunch. I've been in crunch with not just Imagineering, but with working on other projects, and anytime you do something creative and you hit a crunch, it's a nightmare. But it's something that inevitably happens, unfortunately, but doesn't always have to happen. If you've got somebody in leadership above you that knows what the hell they're doing and actually gives a shit, you can get a project done and not have the nightmare crunch. No matter what, you're still gonna have a little bit of the like, oh shit, like there's still something, or the perfectionist crunch of no matter what you do, it's never good enough to yourself as an artist, that you want to make sure that you're working on it until that moment it hits the stage or until public see it. That's a different thing. But with all of these TV shows and all of these movies, they're running out of houses essentially to work with, because they're not doing everything in house. Disney, they're going through outside contractors to get a lot of the CGI done. They're running them ragged, like pretty much between this and between the fact that we're getting House of Dragon and getting Amazon stuff, and everybody is using pretty much every animation house out there. It's crunch time 24/7 for pretty much any.
Hopefully those people are getting hella paid.
Sometimes not as good as you think, especially when they're going overseas. Especially when they're going overseas and doing it.
Hopefully, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why I say the word of hopefully.
Yeah, there's a lot of hopefully on that one. But anyway, they also announced, which series was it? They announced the bad guy is the leader. The winner, the next Captain America, New World Order. Sam Wilson, the leader, which we haven't seen since the Incredible Hulk movie.
And I don't even remember seeing this person in that.
Okay, so. The friend / bad guy that ends up getting the serum / blood inside of his wound on his head.
Q, or I think is his name. I can't remember. It was Mr. Something. So if you remember, like, I know exactly who he's trying to describe. So in the Incredible Hulk movie, when I'm trying to think of the actual actor's name.
Hey, yeah, he's a really big actor.
Norm.
I think he's even won an Academy Award. But I can't remember the name of the actor, but he ends up getting a cut in his head or something. I don't really remember. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie. But he's the one that his head starts to get bigger in the movie, which you probably have to go back and see it, because
I watch it because I don't remember any of that.
I guarantee you most of us haven't seen that movie in probably at minimum at least 5 years.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it was about the time when Abomination rolled through in that lab, and this is when the final scene of their fight actually starts to happen, and the lab gets destroyed, and like Eric was saying, on the one of the Hulk's blood kind of like She-Hulk in a way, it cracked on his head, and it started to form the brain.
Gotcha.
So,
he's one of the leader is one of the Hulk's biggest villains. Yeah.
Okay.
He's usually green and has a big nutsack looking head. It's the best way
I can find him for you.
But I love the fact that they can't do the Hulk quite like they want to because of the whole Universal owning the rights to the movie. And so they're going to bring all of the characters like Abomination and by the way, if you're not caught up on She-Hulk, the Abomination stuff was pretty funny.
Abomination.
Yeah, that was great.
I have not caught up, so.
Yeah, well, it's literally, I think, like the third episode. So
I knew Abomination was in it, so there no spoiler.
But anyway, without going through all of the D23 stuff, because there is a lot, like there really is the Daredevil.
Finally getting the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, they basically said, "Hey, we're having Fantastic Four. There's the director. He's standing in the back of the room. Okay,
remake.
Yeah, but I mean, can we honestly say there has not been a good Fantastic Four movie
There's
at
been
all?
okay
The last one was okay.
No, are you talking about the most recent one? Oh, that one was awful.
That the second half was god awful.
So?
That second half was like the director literally walked away from the movie. Like he stopped directing halfway through the movie. I'm not being facetious. Like he literally had a nervous breakdown and stopped directing.
I remember that. Yeah.
And so when you're watching the movie, you can tell like he literally is two different movies. And so I'm okay, but I felt bad. But I was like, this. I remember when we recorded the episode to talk about this because I was like, you know what this means, guys? This means it's going back to Disney. Like this movie was so bad, it's going back to Disney, and sure enough, it did. So I know they're setting it up. I know that Avenger Tower is definitely the Baxter Building. I know that we're getting hopefully the Fantastic Four that is in the comics that I love, and I'm praying to God that it's something that we can all like. Just give me a live action The Incredibles. Like it's literally all you really got to give me, and I'll be happy. Personally, I still think it would have been cool if it turns out that they've been stuck in like some dimension, like maybe they were explorers and like Ant-Man finds them or something like a little different than they were in space and got hit by a wave kind of thing. But I don't know. I'm hoping for something pretty badass.
They were hanging out at a teen college party.
Well, yeah,
and
let's
drank
hope
some
they all beer. The same story over again, that's for sure.
They all drank the punch.
They sure did.
I'm also extremely excited for Daredevil, but
yes,
I was a little bummed to find out that Daredevil is a reboot.
Really?
Yeah, it turns out.
I mean, I can kind of get why.
In the latest episode of She-Hulk, without giving anything away, they kind of hint at a little bit of a difference in the...
Well, we already know he's going to have the yellow suit.
Well, no, not just the yellow suit, but just like where he gets his suit, what's going on.
Well, that's true. There is a difference on that, yes.
So it doesn't matter. Like there are so many dimensions. It's, you know, they can excuse anything now as far as reboot and sequel and all that jazz.
Quantumania and all that jazz.
But anyway, they talked about Loki 2. They talked about the fact that all that stuff, and it was interesting. Blah, 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 blah. We're not going to show anything until next year at Comic-Con. It's pretty much what's this year is what are we getting? We're getting
Andor.
Black Panther 2.
Yep, that too.
That's the end of this phase, correct?
I think.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't remember what's the beginning of the next phase, but I believe it's a series. I think it's a series.
It's either a series or I'm looking at, because I know Quantumania comes out February.
Oh, it's Quantumania. It is Quantumania. And I know, well, Quantumania, though, I thought Quantumania goes directly into all the King stuff, which I know Loki does too. Obviously, if you've watched the first season of Loki. So, and I know we've got Echo coming as well. And so there's a lot of series, there's a lot of series that are done and they're being finished up or whatever.
Right.
So, but as everything comes out, we will have a better picture of it all and we will follow it and talk about it in more detail. So I think the other big thing with D23 I want to talk about right quick is the Star Wars stuff. And I mean they talked about Indy, but we didn't get to see anything, and we know it's Indiana Jones, and he's old, and it'll either be good or it won't. I mean, this is pretty much. I love Indiana Jones. It is absolutely. Raiders is my second favorite movie of all time. Like I freaking love Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm excited about it, but I am excited and terrified at the same time. Especially after the last Indiana Jones movie. I know people either liked it or some people loved it, but most people either hated it or have completely forgotten it. Like, I can't even tell you the story of that movie. Like,
Crystal
that's
Skull.
the problem. Okay, yes, I know it's the Crystal Skull, but other than that, and aliens and him being in a refrigerator, I don't remember anything else of that movie.
I got you. All right. So when a mommy Indiana Jones and a daddy Indiana Jones got together,
I got you. But
they create a greaser.
By the way, I did forget one thing. I did want to talk about. Did you guys see the Werewolf by Night trailer?
I haven't seen the trailer. I know of it, and I'm stoked for it.
I must have glanced over D23 somehow, and I only saw tidbits. I did not see the trailer, I don't think, for it, no.
Okay. Okay, it irritates me just because I wished you guys had seen it, because there was a lot of hate towards the trailer. The director of Werewolf by Night, and it escapes me the name of the guy, but he did a lot of the music for the various shows and movies. He did a lot of stuff for WandaVision, but he's mostly known now as a music guy. And they went ahead and gave him the directorial, and I still don't know exactly. I know this is a special. I don't know exactly if this is, an hour long or 2 hours long, or I would assume maybe 90 minutes to max, but probably an hour. I bet it's an hour.
So it's a one shot, basically.
It's a one shot for now, at least. In the comics, Werewolf by Night, that's where Moon Knight got his start. That's where a few other characters popped up. And if you watch the trailer, you can even see Man-Thing pop up for just a nanosecond, which is pretty much Marvel Swamp Thing, which is a very simplistic way of saying it, but he pretty much is.
Yeah. And then if you look on the background,
it's written by this guy, but it's also written by that did Moon Knight as well. Okay. And so all along I've been really hoping for a Moon Knight versus a werewolf movie.
Versus Man Bear Pig.
I mean, it's what I've been really hoping for, and I don't think we're getting that, but the trailer looks like something out of a Grindhouse movie. Yeah. It starts off with those 70s 60s, 70s, maybe even early 80s, really crazy color intro.
I was gonna say the graphical intros, yeah.
Yeah, and then it goes into, it's all black and white, at least the trailer, and has the little grindhousey. I think they probably need to throw a little bit more of a grindhouse filter over the video if it is black and white, because that's my only big gripe as someone who loves black and white movies. It needs to look like it was shot in black and white rather than they shot it one way. Stuff. And then it needs to be shot that way. It needs that grindhouse, where did a part of Real B go? It needs that kind of humor, that kind of feeling of this was an old reel of something just thrown up somewhere and they found it and it's kind of falling apart. That would give it its charm, and I didn't really see that from the trailer. That was my biggest gripe. Now, as far as the herky-jerky, sort of cheesy horror aspect of it. I love it because I love those kind of movies. You know that. Like, you guys have been to the Good Taco Bad movie night parties, which is a party we used to have here all the time, where we would watch the worst horror movies ever created, Birdemic and the such. And so my tolerance is probably higher than most people for that kind of movie. And so I get,
except we had to stop Birdemic. That was that bad.
What? Birdemic? No. We finished Birdemic.
We did,
but maybe later. But poor one of the people that was at our party, she was on the ground just crying. She hated it so much. I get where they were shooting for, what they were going for, and I really hope they succeed, especially with this being the first time directorial debut of this guy. I love it when musicians become directors, because there's a certain, as somebody with synesthesia, I see color with music, I see color with sound, and so I understand, probably more so than a lot of people, how intrinsic sound is to movies and to production and to that. And so I can see there's a certain sensibility that musicians have with directing that I find fascinating, because I feel like they see the world a little bit differently. And so I'm very curious and I'm very hopeful for this, but I can see where people are having a little bit of a hissy fit. But at the same time, Marvel's done a really good job of trying to spread the what kind of movies and shows and stuff they do. They're trying new things, and I give them a lot of kudos for that, because they could easily just say, you know what, everything needs to be the same. Everything, you know what, Spider-Man Far From Home worked. Everything has to be just like that. And they haven't done that. You know, we've gotten the WandaVisions, we've gotten the She-Hulk, which is basically Ally McBeal with the Hulk. I mean, the fact that they're trying things and seeing what sticks, and I appreciate that, especially in a genre that I love. I love comic book movies and TV shows, obviously. So anyway, if you haven't seen the trailer, I recommend going and checking out the Star Wars stuff. We won't get too much into it because we've still got a lot to talk about, but Andor looks like the Star Wars thing I've been wanting to see for a very long time.
I know.
I'm beyond excited, and next episode we'll be able to talk about it. The first 2 or 3 episodes will be out, and we'll talk about it on the next episode. There's more Star Wars, but we'll get into that on the next episode as well, because we've got a lot more to talk about. The next thing, I guess, Kyle, can you talk a little bit about the Sony thing that they talked about?
Let me tell you, there's so much going on in terms of the gaming world. Big things, of course. As he's mentioning, Sony came out with their State of Play. It was not as long as Nintendo's. Nintendo swung for the whole home run,
minutes.
And boy, did they hit it on a good chunk of. Actually, in general, I would say they nailed it on pretty much all accounts. But Sony gave up. What they wanted to do was, hey, let's give you a little update in terms of some things here. Some things very big. Other things, okay. You look forward to the future, right? And they started the show off with Tekken 8, which, by the way, looks incredible.
Well, so I know you're a huge fighter. Like,
I like fighting games, and Tekken was one of the series I loved to play growing up. Because, boy, give me some Eddie Gordo or some Brian. I would even do Jin from time to time. King. I can name these characters.
I was such a weird. Like, I loved me some Sony, and I loved fighting games, but for some reason, I just never played Tekken.
I don't. Good.
I get it. I've played some after the fact, and it is pretty good, but I just never quite got into. I was like a Soul Calibur kind of person, or a Street Fighter.
I mean, Soul Calibur was phenomenal for their first set of games, and then they had a couple disappointments, and then came back, I think, with the most recent one. And I think they did fine with it, but
it was pretty good.
Fuck, I didn't speak today.
And the character creator is phenomenal.
Yeah, no, the character creator was great. Seeing what people could create from that game, fucking hilarious. Yes, but Tekken, if you haven't seen the trailer, you want to go look at it because fucking damn. Like, I can't remember if they, because I don't think it's anything of like, Unreal 5 or anything like that, because if it's not, fuck. That's like the new standard for like the fighting game graphic capability. Because
sure it is.
My gosh, because if I would have to be, because again, if not, they blew every other fighter out of the frickin' water in terms of its like graphical standard.
Yeah, it was the fidelity on it. It was fluid. It did look really nice.
You could see.
That was gameplay, right? That was
they did the trailer with it, like it was kind of like one of those fluent trailers that turned into gameplay that turned into like bits and pieces of like cutscenes that went right back. So it's like one of those fluent things. So I was like, okay, good. Like it looks good. And then they decided to show off some VR stuff. So because of course they are all about going into the VR 2.
I'm kind of worried.
I am too. Especially, I mean, I could be wrong with that.
A vomit.
Yeah. So, I mean, big things about the VR2 is like I've heard that you can't play VR games from the first one on the VR2, which is kind of like, why? That's not fair. You have to buy all those games again? Or, like, they would have to come with a way of being like, all right, so if you own those, you don't have to buy them again. You just have to re-download them, like, those kind of things. They're just going to have to come out with updated versions of them.
Yeah, they're making me really, really nervous about that. It's kind of giving me the PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4 vibes, or PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 vibes, or PlayStation 3 to 4. Yeah.
Yeah, so I get the things of like that, but I'm like, that's kind of nerve-wracking because a lot of people have VR library, and that's a big thing because the VR library is fun, and it's like if they're wanting to stay relevant to the Oculus, that's not a way to go about it.
No.
So,
but for some reason, Japanese companies have a really hard time understanding ownership, the mentality of ownership of gaming that American and Western consumers have. It's different. Like we feel like once we bought the game, we own it. A lot of Japanese companies do not believe that. They are like, you're essentially renting the game, and it's such a different viewpoint.
It is. It's definitely very interesting. But I mean, like, the big things they showed for at least the VR is they showed the Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. So it got that gameplay trailer. So I'm like, cool. More Star Wars VR. Those are always kind of fun. I definitely enjoy them.
Tied into Galaxy's Edge.
Absolutely. Just going back to D23, all that fun stuff there. And then they showed off, I think it's called Demeo. It's kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons tabletop game within a game. And I'm like, that's a cool idea. It looks fun. It's definitely a co-op dungeon crawling survival game in a way. That's how they mention it. But it's like tabletop. So I'm like, dope. That's pretty cool. Good on them for doing something different in terms of VR. It just has to pan out, of course. Mm-hmm. But now we get to the nitty gritty of like some of the big stuff that they showed off. And this is where you and Mike are just going to have so much fun talking about it. But they showed off the next. They brought up stuff from Sega and showed off the Yakuza spinoff, that Ishin and whatnot, and it's getting that Western released.
Sega.
So
yeah, I've been excited. I've been waiting for that game for a incredibly long time. I remember years ago they were like, okay, this game will never see North America. This game will never come out over here. It will never get done. And now it's like, yeah, we've run out of Yakuza games that are doing so well over there. We're going to have to basically put this one out there now. Like,
right.
Every game that's come out has been a moderate hit since Zero, pretty much.
Is this version of Like the Dragon, is it a DLC or is it its own standalone game?
No, it is
standalone.
It's a standalone title. It came out in Japan years ago. It's actually the Like a Dragon is a new
it's an
add-on
series, basically. Yeah.
No. Yes, but the title Like a Dragon is being added on to this game. It wasn't originally on it.
Okay.
It's now, I think it's become a within the Yakuza series.
Right.
Is instead of saying that, it's basically the gist of it. It's a historically accurate, to a point, time period in Japanese history that's using Yakuza characters.
Okay.
Almost like they're actors.
Yeah.
Inside those periods, and their characters aren't the characters they play in the Yakuza games. They're new characters, but they're close to their Yakuza parts. Yeah. It's really hard to explain, but it's not.
It's a dream within a dream within a dream.
Yes, kinda. It's a dude playing another dude, and so it's
you people.
It's a very Japanese game that they said would never ever come out over here, no matter what. I remember having this discussion with one of the marketing directors there, and it's like, it's never ever going to come out over here. And sure enough, they've had too many successes since Zero that they have to have content now. And so, but yes, the Lucky Dragon thing is a new add-on to the title.
Yeah.
Because Like a Dragon did so well, and my guess is if they could, they would probably add Like a Dragon to Judgment series at this point, if they could. And then from what I read recently, the guy in charge of that studio that makes the Yakuza games is not too. He basically said from now on, he's not tied to any kind of game within the series. So it could be like the Dragon series, like the turn-based. It could be the atypical or the typical like Yakuza type game, the Yakuza or Judgment, or it could be like this. So, I don't know. I love the series no matter. I mean, heck, I would love to see the zombie one that they made for PS3. A little bit of love. There was one where is basically like a typical Yakuza game, but instead of the normal like story about criminal underground and all that, it dealt with zombies.
Interesting.
And it was really fun. It wasn't the greatest one. It could definitely stand some love and a little bit of like a remaster, and maybe change some of the plot around to make it a little more cohesive. But it was. I'm almost definite now that we're seeing this one. I'm almost 100% sure in about 3 to 4 years we'll probably see the zombie, the zombie one.
Probably.
So.
Yakuza zombies.
I just wish they would bring out some of them on the Switch now. Like they could do it. They could. The older ones they could definitely bring them out. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff on the Switch I'm actually confused that we've never gotten. So
exactly.
I agree. But continuing from that, we got more news about a game that looks super fun, that I am actually thoroughly excited for, and that would be the Hogwarts Legacy. And my gosh, that game keeps looking fucking gorgeous every fucking time they show it off.
the PlayStation exclusive stuff, the extremely dark Hogsmeade,
the creepy basement stuff.
Yeah, the Evil Dead almost scenario type, like Necronomicon, waiting for the like that to happen. I'm just like,
awesome.
dude, if we're gonna get this dark, hell yeah!
Like, it needs to be fucking dark.
Give me some of that dark, Harry Potter stuff. Like I love that world, and
it's
it
so
can definitely
good.
go that. It's
so good.
I love the fact that I get to make my character and really like live this experience. It sounds like, at least that's what it so far.
Yeah.
If that's what I'm getting, I'm day one.
Getting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, see, I have to give them credit for the fact of the matter is, like you said, you get to create a character. You could choose which house. Hopefully there's a way of like being like, here's some stuff. I know you could be housed on Pottermore in the game, and kind of like there's something like that, I believe, outside of your house that you were housed or you did in general. But the fact is, I have to give them nothing but credit, because I was speaking on this matter with our good friend Nina. And the fact of like probably, if not all of the creators or people that have been working on this game have to have had some relation to Harry Potter in terms of they had to have been either fans, they need to know the material, in and out for sure. Like, I wouldn't think there'd be anyone on that team. I could be wrong, but that wouldn't know about like the lore in general of that world. And
Doug from accounting is
he's just there.
He's a Slytherin, that motherfucker. Like,
absolutely.
I'm
yeah. It's a Vedicadabi.
I'm really, especially since one could argue that the recent movie was the
one of the new Beast ones or something else.
Yeah,
the Beast movies are interesting.
They're not as horrible as some people like to tout, but yeah, they're definitely interesting.
I've only seen up to the first of the Beast movies.
Well, that's just the first. There's no up to at that point, Mike. But
Harry Potter up to that point.
Oh, okay.
Like the series and then that.
Oh, you've never seen the Harry Potter movies?
No, I'm saying the series of the 7 films, and then the Beast movie. That's the only one I've seen so far of the Beast movie.
They're okay. They're okay. The Fantastic Beasts movies are okay. The Harry Potter movies are interesting, and I think at some point I'd love to have a discussion over this, especially when we start doing film breakdowns. It in series. That's such a interesting series, having so many different directors and visions, that it's kind of funny that you have a storyline as long as it is, and you have different directors.
Yeah.
Yet you still have one pretty cohesive vision, and they made 3 Star Wars movies recently, and they felt like 3 different
movies, all over the place,
3 different series, and they had 2 directors. It was the weirdest thing. So anyway, keep going. Sorry.
No, that's why I was going to say the same thing. That's why it's like, the Harry Potter game looks phenomenal. Clearly somebody making this PlayStation exclusive DLC was absolutely obsessed with the game called Hello Neighbor.
Yeah.
That's literally what it feels like. Looking at the trailer, I'm like, that's man, funny. If this isn't going into somebody's basement to figure out what's going on, I don't know what fucking Hello Neighbor shit this is. So then following that, we had a big one that looks interesting. It's, Sony as of late, of course, appealing most different ways. Like, they've kind of gotten this rhythm of Eastern culture content, because the developers of Neo, which is another Souls-like game, announced a new an open world samurai game called Rise of Ronin, and it looks phenomenal because golly, does the combat movement look badass AF.
Yep.
But like, looking at it, I'm like, man, if that's not freaking Ghost of Tsushima 2, but just freaking the Dark Souls character, I don't know what is. But
yeah, it pretty much
looks
is
super fun. At first, when they were talking about, actually, this is going back to the Yakuza game when they were like bringing this game back from forever ago. I honestly thought, like, as the trailer was starting, did the same thing with the Rise of Ronin. I was like, I swear if they bring back Tenchu or whatnot from like back in the day,
yeah,
like,
that's what I thought it was.
Dope.
I totally thought it was Tenchu. Like,
so, and I feel like that's where they get some of their ideas for these. Well, except for Yakuza, that was, you know, of course, their own thing. But like the samurai game, of course, looks cool. They again, it's the movement. Like, this guy is flying all over the place as if he's like freaking Yoda in the lightsaber battles and the prequels. So I mean, it just looks nifty. That's of course got a 2024 release window for that, so we will see more upcoming.
With some of this stuff, though, like
it's later dated.
It was like I was expecting a lot of stuff like in the next year at maximum, but like literally, like, you know, when it says 2024, the odds are it's probably 2025. Like,
yeah,
you're like, dear Lord, we're getting into like the middle of the decade. So come on now, like, what the heck?
Yeah, and it depends. So most of the time when you have something that's usually almost done, they try to say early 2024 release window, which then would push it back. Yeah, it just says 2024. Yeah. So
even Nintendo did that on one of theirs too.
Yeah, so
they did, but you have to admit, it looked nice. But if you've ever worked in game development or followed game development long enough, and you guys have, you can tell, like, you can look at it and go, okay, that game is still hella way off. Like, you can tell. You just look at it, it's pretty, it's nice looking, but it's not even, like, ready for, like, 2023, like, graphics. So I can't imagine it being ready for
2024.
Luckily, when they were showing off, if you watch the video, like, the way that stuff was fluent and whatnot, I got to give it to it. Like, I could see 2024, especially knowing was it Team Ninja? They're usually pretty good about their dates when they
Team
say
Ninja
it.
is pretty good. So wasn't Team Ninja, though? Weren't they supposed to be a Xbox exclusive?
It's Ninja Theory that you're thinking of.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Both use Ninja.
I confuse my ninjas.
Like a ninja.
Gosh, that's not like a ninja.
Ninja Vanish.
But
which I've been doing this entire
exactly. And then for some reason it's funny, like, of course, as Sony does, let's like talk about, all right, man, it's all this Eastern culture stuff. Let's show off all these samurai, ninjas, Yakuza, and let's finish it off with Vikings.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously,
because of course,
like I said, they were definitely they're getting ready for Tokyo Game Show, but yeah, it is weird the fact that it was like, and Viking. Granted, this particular Viking and this particular Viking world is one of their number one selling games of all time. The sequel to it, so of course they're going to show that.
The good old God of War Ragnarok, my friend.
Oh, dude, I was trying to be like Eric the Viking, the movie,
Eric the Viking Slayer.
Yeah,
it's just Tim. The game's just called Tim.
I'm a Viking!
No, but they showed off the new trailer for God of War Ragnarok, which looked insane. Oh, it's going to be so freaking good because, you know, the first one was just freaking perfection.
And he fights a chubby Thor.
He fights like the actual vision of Thor, of how Thor's supposed to be.
Right.
Not this Marvel version of Thor, so...
Not the beefcake.
But,
not the dear Thor, God, what have you done to yourself, Chris Hemsworth?
Chris Hemsworth, yeah.
He looked like he was in pain halfway through the movie. Anyway, the movie.
So this Thor is going to look more of like Zeus from 11 Thunder than...
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, he does. He actually does.
Yeah, but he's going to be definitely more limber.
Even has the little skirt.
Nice.
Yep.
No, but they were showing off all these things, of course. people have grown up. The plot is, of course, they are just essentially moving on, and of course, how we see it is, of course, Thor is still pissed off. You see the Valkyries come back, even though it's funny he slayed a couple of the Valkyries, but of course, even killed the queen of the Valkyries if you did that. Oh gosh, that bitch. So fucking hard.
I love how you're like, and of course, Kratos is angry. It's like, dude, like he's like the Hulk in the first Avengers movie. Like he's always angry.
He is always angry, but also like if you watch some of the trailer, he does have a sense of calm in specific limelights. So you got to give this Greek who is a Spartan who is built for battle some credit of he has, clearly from the first set of games to now has learned a valuable lesson since shoving the big frickin' sword through Zeus's fucking body.
Right.
So and then himself. Yeah, his therapy was fucking shoving a sword in him and then go shoving a sword in Atreus's mom and then calling it a day.
Well, the fact that he's covered in the ashes of his family. I mean, come on now. That's therapy
exactly
enough.
That's therapeutically hate. Like I'll tell you that's a non-stop reminder of I'm going to be pissed off. But you get all these things. They were showing off. Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. There was a big beast. I can't remember specifically what it was, but it kind of seems it's going to be like that kind of boss fight that the dragon was in the first one.
Yeah.
It just some of the movement of it's just going to be fluent. Like it's going to be more or less you're going to have the first game mixed in with a couple of the new stuff, and of course they're pretty hush hush on what they want new because of course this is their big game of the year for sure.
What are you when you play a game? Do you choose fidelity over visuals, or do you choose visuals over fidelity?
Aren't they the same thing?
No, I mean like the speed, like I meant
performance.
Performance. Yeah. Thank you.
So that depends. So for my sake, when it came to Horizon Forbidden West, I did performance.
Okay.
For sure. So it all depends on the game. This one, it'll probably go performance as well, because I want some of those sweet axe combo throwing mechanics to call back and do some crazy shit with that, just to flow ridiculously well, like they did in the first one.
And then he's going to yell boy, and then the boy's going to be like, it's not ready yet.
That seems almost like a very personal decision now. Like when people talk next gen is like, okay, what would you rather like?
It's the blue pill or the red pill.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's really funny to like
24
to think about it. Like it is very much because in certain groups, if you say, "Oh yeah, if you say that we're, you're choosing the fidelity over it, the other. It's just funny how angry some people will be. Like, oh my god, do you realize what you're missing?
Exactly.
So
it's very cool.
Yeah, no. So that's the big thing. Sorry, I was muted for a second. I was coughing. I was like, I'm dying. Yeah, no. The big thing, of course, is like they wanted to show off is the fact that we have seen literally a second worth of Thor, not by the face, just by his sweet gut and beard, and Mjolnir. That's what everyone gave a shit about. And just seems to be like this arena that they're in. And then, of course, that's when it cut out. So this is, of course, leading into probably a similar lineup of how they do them, of we're going to get some big aspects here, and then we're just going to go out and murder everything in the third game or something like that, to where it ties up everything. I could be wrong, but
you're gonna end up fighting the boy in the third game. I almost freaking guarantee you.
Or Atreus. Spoiler.
I'm almost guaranteeing you're gonna fight the boy in the third game. So
interesting.
The boy comes a man.
Exactly.
It's either that or
and that's how they do the sequels from now on. You play as the boy. I mean, boy. Yeah. That way they can retire Kratos and the character, and they continue on the God of War series. I finished it. Thank you, Santa Monica.
I
did your job.
So we'll see how it coming up in the next couple months, because that is coming up quick. But of course, that is the big Sony game, and of course after that the show ended.
What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead. We're going to end this episode because it has been one behind the scenes. Hopefully Mike has edited it very well. We have had a storm and other stuff going on, and we have a major football game in town, and it is killing our internet. And so we are going to end this episode. And the rest of the stuff we're going to talk about in the next episode. We'll also talk about the new season of Fortnite, which for us is in a few hours, which I'm excited for. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited for. And we'll talk about everything else that's in our system and what we've been watching and all that stuff. So there's still a lot to talk about. I've literally been it's cut me out of the show at least, 10, 15. Yeah, I swear to God. It's just not going to work. And I would rather get what's done in the can and come back and finish this episode another day. So, guys, it's been something. I love recording with you two, and it's been really fun. But
I hate it, every minute of it.
This has been a rough episode to get out, so I will be glad that we're going to be done with it. But a lot of info, a lot of stuff to ponder. I would love for our listeners to, one, excuse the fact that this episode is definitely different, but two, thank you for listening. We're all three of us are incredibly appreciative, and it means the world to us. So thank you very much for listening. You can check out all of our information, all of our past shows everywhere that podcasts are. That you can put your system in and listen and put it in your ear holes and get all the good Father Gamerness. And
the only you one can that find we're not on is Google, because they're
we won't get into Google. Google doesn't exist. But pretty much everywhere else you can find us. We're just shy of basically being on like I don't know. I'm sure. I can't think of anything else. I know my wife found us on Amazon the other day. So we're on Pornhub. We definitely
Amazon, Audible, which is also part of Amazon.
We're on Audible. Funny enough, I got suggested our own podcast on Audible. So that was kind of funny. But thank you for listening. You can find Kyle on Twitch at, what is it again?
Waffle Daddy 25. You were gonna say something like Mac Pickle Daddy Thump Humper or like something.
I keep forgetting.
Say Mac Daddy.
Yeah, it's Mac Waffle Daddy. No, but you can find Kyle there, and you can find Mike at Silverhawks everywhere, pretty much, with no vowels. Of course, you got to forget those vowels; they don't exist. They don't exist. Yeah, they don't exist with I don't know how to say your name without the I.
Yeah.
And then you can find me at Fathergamer everywhere but Twitter. You can find me at
Cut Off.
Oh my God.
You can find me. Bye.
Keep that one in there. I want people to understand. Oh my God. Okay, you can find me at Fathergamer pretty much everywhere except for at Twitter. You can find me there at The Real Eric Gibbs on Twitter. And I would love for you to go check that out. Please follow, like, subscribe. It'd be great if you would go on to our wherever you're listening to this, especially the Apple Podcast, and leave a review, because reviews get us seen, and more people see us, the more people listen, and the more people listen, the more we're able to take over the world.
Exactly.
And that's, the world would be a much better place if we were in charge. I mean, come on now. But thank you, everybody, for listening. And look really soon, really, really soon, for another episode that will continue and finish off the Nintendo news, the episodes that were in our channel control, and the premiere of the new season of Fortnite, as well as whatever else we've been playing. So thank you for listening. And as always, go out there, achieve greatness, and make this world a better place. Have a great day.